Well, are you guys starting to see a pattern yet? I guess one golf cart wasn't enough for me, so I had to go and buy another one. Yeah, you guys are looking at my 1995 EasyGo Medalist. Now this is a 36 volt series cart, and it's pretty rough looking. Now I won't pretend to be an expert all of a sudden, because I know this is only my second golf cart, but let me explain a little bit about what you're looking at here. So the EasyGo Medalist, I believe, was only made 1 year, and that was 1995. The easiest way to tell if you've got a Medalist or if you have got a TXT is if you have got a metal or a plastic body. And as you can see, this one's metal. And just like the club car out there, this one is also a 36 volt. I will say it does have all the batteries. Looks like somebody got creative and used an old golf cart battery over there to run some accessories. It's got some nice touches like the fancy backup mirror. Somebody must have liked their tunes because they put a couple 6.5-inch speakers down here in the belly pan or whatever you want to call that. It's got these mint cheap LED off-the-shelf Walmart brand lights on the front, which I think they look awful on there, but to each their own. But I think my favorite butched item on this golf cart is this bed someone hacked up and put on here. I'm pretty sure they just took a dump cart, like a yard dump cart, and hacked it up and made it fit on here. And yeah, got some custom engineering going on there. But all those quirks aside, it does seem to be a relatively complete cart. Now, like everything I buy, this thing does not run, nor does it drive. And I think the culprit there is a couple bad batteries. But on top of it not running, it also, in my opinion, just looks awful. Somebody has spray painted this thing flat black. It's not a good looking golf cart. But for not much money, we can change that. What you guys are looking at here is a nose piece and a body piece off of an EasyGo TXT. Now they started making the TXTs in, I believe, 96, but they used the same rolling chassis as the Medalist. They just put the newer plastic body on it, and these look a whole lot better. And full disclosure to you guys, I paid $500 for this thing the way it sits. So I guess the point of this video is we're gonna see if we can kind of transform this thing for not a whole lot of money. Now, as well as giving this thing a cosmetic makeover, we are also going to be repowering this thing and converting it to lithium. Yep, we're going to be removing all these nasty old heavy lead acid batteries and replacing it with one lithium battery. But enough talking, let's go ahead and get started on this thing. I've literally got to rip just about every body panel and seat and everything off this. We'll get it down to the bare chassis and go from there. Well, I think the most logical place to start is getting this roof off. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to put it back on. They had to chop up the back half to make it work with that bed they put on it. And I don't know, we'll see. Well, that's not the factory hardware. That's heavier than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Like I know what I'm doing. Woo! I really underestimated how heavy that was going to be. And look at that, we got a convertible now. Well, it looks like the only way to get the bed unbolted is to actually take these seats off. So we'll start with these. There's about $30 worth of nuts and bolts I'm pulling off this thing. Look at all this stuff. Oh man, why is everything so heavy? Well, with all that stuff out of the way, now we can work on the more tedious process, and that's going to be drilling out every single one of these rivets. Yeah, I forget. There's like, I don't know, 30 some rivets or something that holds these body panels on. There's a bunch up there, a bunch back here. I'm gonna get to work on that. These sill plate screws, they're rusted in place. So I'm just gonna take the cutoff wheel and grind them off. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work on that. All right, I think it's good to come off now. Oh yeah. Oh man, look at that lovely mouse house in there. Yeah, that explains why the old wiener dog was acting kind of strange when I brought this thing in the garage. Man, this thing is nasty. Guys, I have been struggling with this thing for over an hour trying to get this rear section of body off. I've drilled out every rivet, pulled out every bolt I can find, and I think I finally got it loose to where it'll come off. This thing needs a bath so bad. But you know what's kind of funny, guys? Everything I've read online, all the videos I watched and guys I talked to, they say these E-Z-Gos are pretty bad about rusting out. I mean, you figure this thing's what, 30 years old this year? And it's not rusty. I mean, even the battery tray looks good. These side frame rails look good. It ain't rotted out over here. Floor pan's nice and solid. Yeah, I think this is actually gonna make a very nice solid cart once we're done with it. Well, I think the next logical thing to do is give this thing a much needed bath. Before we do that though, I want to get these mouse condos cleaned out. There's a couple of them. I don't want this stuff blowing everywhere at the pressure washer. Once we get these picked up, I think we'll go ahead and yank them old lead acid batteries. And hopefully these condos are empty. I'm sure there's a couple I haven't seen yet, but that's better. Before I go pulling these batteries out, I just want to show you guys the voltage on these things. I did check them when I brought it home. I believe it was the center two batteries that are dead, but the best way to check your pack voltage is to go from your first battery in series and your last. Hopefully you guys can see that, but that's saying right at 24 volts. And this should be 36 volts. So in theory, if they're 6-volt batteries, that means we got two bad ones. And what you can do is you can actually go through and check the individual batteries. Showing 6.2 on that one. 6.2. And I believe this was one of the bad ones. Yep, 2.5 and 2 volts on that one. So in theory, I could just replace those two center lead acid batteries and we'd probably have a functioning cart. But I don't like lead acid batteries. They're dirty, they're clunky, they're heavy, and it don't take much motivation for me to want to replace them with lithium. Let's go ahead and start ripping these battery cables off and get all this wiring cleaned up, and especially that nasty 12-volt battery over there. Boy, there's some nasty stuff going on in there. I think that was another mouse condo. This little 12-volt battery, again, I think all he used this for was powering his radio and his lights. So actually all the related wiring to this we can also get rid of. Man, there's stuff running everywhere. Look at all this. Well, this thing is looking a whole lot less cluttered now. I mean, look at all this stuff that came out of this thing. That's only about a third of the dirt. I've already swept up twice. Yeah, this thing was rough, but it's going to be so rewarding to see it all cleaned up. Tell you what, this thing's a lot easier to move without all that weight. Well, now that we got this thing clean, we can kind of get a better idea of what's going on here. And like I was saying, overall, this frame is in really good shape. I know this looks pretty bad here in the center, but that is not bad at all. What that is the result of leaking batteries and not doing maintenance to make sure that doesn't happen. But again, not a big deal. I'm not even going to worry with cutting that out. And it'll all make sense when you guys see what battery I'm going to be using. But I will, for now, probably just get some black spray paint, just try to seal it back up. But yeah, that's looking a lot better. Anybody who's curious, that is what motor we are running. One thing I didn't cover with you guys, I got kind of happy with the old 10 snips, just getting rid of stuff. On this 95, this is what your charging plug wires look like. You've just got a white and a black. And if you follow those over, they will lead you right over here to the controller. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to go ahead and unhook these since we no longer need them. But this is how the battery's charged, is I'm assuming it went through the connectors in the controller. We're not going to need that for our new battery. From what I'm understanding, these EasyGos are a lot easier to lithium swap compared to the club cars. If you guys watched my last video, you saw all the work I had to do with that OBC to bypass it. And this definitely appears to not be that way. And just like that, our factory charger wiring is out of there. Well, that's looking a lot better. The place I got this body from, they had 3 different colors. They had the standard white, the standard green, or they had this charcoal color. And I was like, man, I kind of like that charcoal. Now again, this body ain't perfect. It's got some scuffs, some scratches and stuff like that. But I think it's gonna look just fine once we get it cleaned up. And as you guys can see, all the factory holes line up. Even here on the front, they're all gonna line up. I'm just waiting on the proper rivets to come in. Now the rear section, I don't think we're gonna get as lucky. Now again, for the most part, all the rivets line up. Here in the front, they're all lining up. The front subframe, they're all there. Even here on the back tub area, all those bolt holes are lining up. The only issue I'm running into here, and it's my own fault for not doing the research on it, these rear inner fenders or mud flap rain catchers here, they are not the right shape. And it appears they made some differences in the bodies on the TXTs between like 2013 and up or something. They've got a little bit rounder of a rear section compared to the older TXTs. So instead of trying to source the right inner fenders and paying out the butt for them, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim these. They're only catching here on this pointed corner. So I think if I come in here and trim these off, round that off, it's still gonna serve the purpose of keeping rain off the, you know, the important stuff, but it'll allow the body to sit down like it should. That's almost factory. All right, guys, let's see how that body fits now with our custom fender liners. Oh, much better. Yeah, before I had to force it to get it down that low. Well, it's the next day. Finally got some parts in so we can continue our progress on this body swap. Now, I'm not going to show you guys me bucking every single rivet, but you can see I'll walk around and show you the layout I got. All these ones across the top are 3/16. These bottom ones I believe were 1/4 inch. They fit in there. I don't know. This kit you can get off Amazon. Supposed to come with all the rivets you need to do this. Also, OG members of the channel, you've seen me use this thing before. A lot of people online said to go to Harbor Freight and buy an air rivet gun. I don't think I need one. This thing's pretty tough here. I've done 1/4 inch rivets with it, so this should be fine for what we're doing. Right now I've got the 3/16 die in it. I guess I'm just gonna start here at the center and kind of work my way out. Hopefully that body's gonna keep pulling in, and then we'll do the 1/4 inch last. Well, in my normal fashion, I lost my die for my 1/4 inch rivets. The shanks are bigger on these. That's your standard shank you use on your 3/16. So I ended up drilling this one out with a drill bit, and the rivet fits in there. Hopefully it's gonna work. I don't know, you guys can watch with me. Hopefully it works. If not, I'm gonna have to go buy another rivet gun. Oh, worked perfectly. Like always, you can find links to tools and parts used in the video in the description. Personally, I can say I've owned this thing here for probably 7 years now, and I've had 0 issues with it. One of those good, cheap tools that never hurts to have laying in your toolbox. After pulling what seemed to be about 500 rivets, we are finally closing in on this thing. Before I put the rear luggage liner in here, I need to mount our new rear bumper. The holes for this do not line up. So I don't know, this was a different style. It fits on there, it looks fine, but I got to drill a couple holes, which is fine anyway, because that'll just be some extra points to secure this body in the back. There we go. And now this should drop in like so. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, real quick, the next thing we need to do is put these brackets on. And what these are actually what the seat back bolts to from the factory. If you guys remember, the guy who had this, he had that dump bed thing on the back, had some custom brackets. We did away with all that. We're going to put these back on. This also has a provision for the rear roof support to go through, so we'll be able to keep that same roof. Pretty simple install. Takes a couple 3/8 bolts. And with those in place, we can go ahead and put the seat back on. And I know this will have to come back off when we do our battery, but I can't wait no longer. Look at that. It's almost looking like a golf cart again. Believe me, you guys did not want to see me put that roof back on. There was a whole lot of cussing involved. I should have just taken it apart and put it together piece by piece, but who's got time for that? So really, there's only one more thing I want to do before we can clean this thing and get ready for a battery install, and that is install some of these sweet hubcaps. That same place I got them parts from, they also hooked me up with a set of these hubcaps. Yeah, now we're talking. Well, I just spent a little bit of time off camera with some go-go juice, wiping this thing down, getting it shined up, and it's looking really good, guys. I even managed to get some of the stains out of the seats. Those cleaned up pretty good. But this thing is looking so much better than it did the day I brought it home. But as good as this thing looks, it still doesn't work because we don't have a battery. Luckily, a company decided to help me out with that. Now, the whole point of this video was to do a cheap build. So I decided to keep that spirit when it came to choosing a battery. Now, if you watched my last golf cart video, you saw me put a nice metal case battery in my club car. It's a fantastic battery, but it's also very expensive. That's where companies like Temgo comes in. This is their 36 volt, 200 amp BMS lithium battery. You can get this kit right now off Amazon for $659 before tax. And in that kit, you're going to get everything you need to put this in your cart. You're going to get a quick charger. You're going to get all the mounting hardware. You're going to get straps so you can secure it to your cart if you don't want to use brackets. You also get a nice LCD monitor so you can monitor the battery status while you're using it. And this battery has also got Bluetooth compatibility. So for those who don't know the benefits of going to lithium, let me just do a quick rundown for you. All them heavy lead acid batteries you saw me yank out of this thing weigh about 60 pounds a piece. We had 6 of them. You're talking about 360 pounds in lead acid batteries. This one lithium battery here only weighs 62 pounds. So you're talking about a weight savings of almost 300 pounds just by going this route. Whenever you compare the cost, a good 6 volt battery is going to run you about $120 to $150 a piece. Again, you're talking right there over $900 in battery cost, or you can spend $650 and get you one of these. Now, Temgo's statistics is that you'll get 315 amps in a 30-second burst or 600 amps for 3 seconds. That extra bit of oomph you need to get going. But I think my favorite thing about these Temgo batteries is that these will pretty much drop right into your factory battery tray on your EasyGos. So if you guys are on the fence about what battery to get, I highly recommend you check out Temgo. Like always, I'll have the Amazon link in the description. I'll also have a link to their website if you want to do some reading up on them yourself. But let's finally get this battery put in the cart. Now, literally the only modification you got to do to your factory battery tray on your EasyGo to make this fit is you got to cut out these metal tabs in your battery tray. I'm sure you guys can see the rust in this battery tray. I have just got a piece of 1-inch flat bar here that I painted. And this flat bar, this is stuff you guys can get at about any hardware store. But we're just going to lay that in there to give it a little bit extra support. But yeah, I think we're ready to go and drop that battery in now. Like a glove. Now, luckily, this particular EasyGo is going to be a lot easier to wire up than that club car was if you watched that last video. This thing's pretty simple. You've literally got your battery positive here and your battery negative. As well as doing that, we also need to hook up the wires for our charger, our onboard charger, and that's it. I always want to do your biggest terminal first. Put your smaller terminals on top of that. And you're positive. And that's it. Go ahead and put our caps on. Now in theory, this golf cart is technically ready to run at this point. However, before we road test this thing, we need to go ahead and get our onboard charger mounted, and we need to get our data cable ran for the LCD monitor. We'll have to get that mounted up as well. So let's knock that out real quick. Now again, they make this super easy. They give you all the needed hardware. So you just got to find where you want to put your charger. Our factory charger port's here. So obviously this side over here is going to make the most sense. And we've got this nice flat open spot. There's actually already some holes in this floor pan over here. So instead of having to drill 2 holes, you really can get away with only having to drill 1. Alright guys, I spared you the monotony of watching me zip tie wires, but I have got the LCD monitor mounted up here in the dash. What I did is I punched a hole right here in the side of this dash well, ran their wire out sideways, picked up the wire loom that contains the key ignition switch wiring, and ran that down under the body and brought it up right over here and ran it to our battery. I also didn't even have to drill holes to mount this thing. These little kick panels here have got 3 hold down screws that hold it. All I did was back this center screw out and use the hole in the monitor, same screw, screwed it down, good to go. I've also got our charger cord here, zip tied to the frame. It's all nice and neat and out of the way, and everything's looking good. Only thing left to do is to go ahead and get our little ratchet strap here rigged up, get this battery secure, and we should be ready for a test drive after that. All right, guys, moment of truth. I think it's gonna work. Key on, reverse. It's working. I conveniently didn't rehook up the reverse buzzer, by the way, because they're annoying. Well, so far so good. Nice and quiet. See if it's got enough power to pull me up this hill. Oh, plenty of power. Brakes are working. Yeah, very nice. Well guys, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so we could kind of test this thing out on nice flat ground. Top speed wise on the way here, it don't feel very fast. I'll have to put a screenshot up. I think I'm only getting about 11, 12 mile an hour out of it. But man, the torque on this thing is insane. Here we go. Boy, it is just all of it right now. But yeah, I think that stock controller is going to be the limiting factor on the top speed on this thing. But again, that's an upgrade the next owner can do down the road if they do want more speed out of it. Well guys, we have got a fully functional running driving golf cart at this point. And technically I could go ahead and list this thing up for sale and roll the dice and see what we could get for it. However, if we throw a couple $100s back into this thing, I think it's going to pay off and it's going to help us sell it faster and for a little bit more money. So I've got some parts ordered and they're on their way. We're waiting on those to show up. In the meantime, I think we're going to go ahead and take this roof off and we're going to paint it. I know that sounds crazy, but you got to trust the process. And now this thing should come off here. Yep. Now we got a convertible again. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the entire process of me cleaning this thing and prepping it for paint, but I did want to show you a little trick. This thing had some kind of funk on top of it. Almost feels like old engine oil. I don't know what the story is there, but it's pretty tough to get off. I could take the pressure washer to it, you know, and maybe we'll get it off. But another trick you can use, some acetone. So for about a 12-ounce aerosol can of surface prep from the parts store is about 15 bucks. You can get an entire quart of this acetone for about $10 to $12 at Walmart, parts store, wherever. And this stuff works great. So we got this build up over here. Just gonna dump some of this stuff out here. Takes it right off. I would definitely do this in a well-ventilated area because this stuff is pretty rowdy smelling, but yeah, a little trick for you guys, save a little bit of money, make your life easier. Now, I don't know how well this is gonna show up on camera, but these roofs are actually pretty textured. They've got a lot of grooves in them and stuff, so it's really hard to get these things perfectly clean. I scrubbed and scrubbed on this, and this is about the best I can get it. Now, since it's such an uneven surface, I've decided to not use normal paint. I'm actually gonna use some of this spray-in truck bed coating. Now, you get that stuff pretty cheap from Walmart. I end up buying it from O'Reilly's, and it's a little bit more expensive, but there's a reason why. If any of you guys ever decide to do a lithium swap, your old lead acid batteries, you might think they're junk, but they do have some value. Most salvage yards is going to give you a little bit of money for them. However, places like AutoZone and O'Reilly's will give you $10 in-store credit per battery. So that being said, I got all this stuff, this acetone and this bed liner, for pretty much free. Well, since we got that top put back on, we can go ahead and move on to the next couple things. One of which being this factory charger port that's just sitting here open. Luckily, there's a solution for that. Let me show you what we're gonna do. Now, these two pieces here were straight off Amazon like everything else. I will put the links for these in the description. So we have actually got an adapter plate. This will go on the body, and we have got one of these, what do they call that? AC port plug. This will get attached to that plate. This end will plug into our charger, so that way if you ever want to charge your battery, it's just like the factory setup. Run the extension cord, plug it right in, you're good to go. Gives it a nice clean look. Now, this kit did come with the hardware to attach this. However, you have got plenty of options. If you don't want to use screws, I'm sure you could use rivets, some small machine bolts and nuts. I'm going to use the screws because that's what it came with. Now, to actually attach the charger to that faceplate, I'm going to be using some of these Allen bolts. The top mounting hole actually goes through the body, so you'll have to drill a hole to make that work. If not, you can just use the supplied Phillips screws with it. But the bottom two holes are open on the back, so you need some way to pinch it together or use rivets. The main reason I'm not using rivets is this plate here is actually plastic. And I have had issues in the past where if you try using rivets, it can actually break the plastic. So I don't want that to happen. That's why I'm using nuts and bolts. There's a look at the back side. All we're gonna do now is take this end and plug it into this end. Well, if you guys were thinking that these white seats were going to look kind of funky with that black top, you're right. So we've got a fix for that as well. Now, these are actually the same seat covers that I put on my club car in that last video I did. So if you guys happen to watch that, it's a very similar process. These are slip over covers, so we're not going to have to cut any staples or remove any fabric. The only thing that we're going to do, because it makes it so much easier, is take the hand guards or the handles off each side, and then we'll put those back on. It just kind of helps hold the seat cover in place. I think that turned out pretty good, guys. got a couple wrinkles in it, but I think those will come out over time. It needs to sit in the sun a little bit and get those worked out, but that looks so much better. Let's get the back one tossed on there real quick. Now the good thing about these, the seat back portion of it, is you do not have to pull the seat back off to put these on. Should be able just to slip them on and over with it on the cart. That looks really good. Hell, these turned out better on this than they did on my club car. I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, I think that black looks a lot better with this darker charcoal color. If it was white or green, you know, I think the white's fine, but this charcoal looks so much better. And that being said, we have got one more upgrade to do, and this one's probably going to be the biggest. Now, it's no secret, one of the easiest ways to upgrade the appearance of your vehicle is wheels and tires. But it's also one of the most expensive. You guys are looking at a set of 12-inch aluminum wheels. These go for about $500 to $550 new for this set. And I know the point of this video has been a budget build, but if you're patient, you can get stuff like this for not that much money. Now, the way algorithms work is it has figured out how to bring people of the same mind together. That's why a lot of you watching this video right now probably also have an addiction to Facebook Marketplace. I spend way more time on there than I should, but because of that, I'm able to score deals like this. Now, this is a full set. These have never been mounted on a golf cart, and like I said, they're over $500 new. I got the full set of 4 for $80. Now, I'm sure some of you ain't gonna believe me when I say that, but I'm not lying. I got these for 80 bucks. More realistically, if you guys are in the market for these, you're probably gonna find a used set around that $200 to $250 range. That's what you should expect to pay. But if you're doing a flip like this on a golf cart, buying a brand new anything, it's hard to get your return on your investment. So if you're going to do this yourself, just be patient, keep an eye on the old marketplace, and you can get you a deal like this. Now, I've been patiently waiting to put this on this golf cart, and I don't want to wait any longer. So let's get them put on and see what this thing's going to look like. Oh yeah. Now, these did not come with lug nuts, so I did have to spend some money on a new set, but I think a set of 20 of these, or 16 of these off Amazon was like 15 bucks. Money well spent. Oh yeah, that is looking so much better. Well, I'm not going to bore you guys with putting the others on. I'm going to get the rest put on, and I'll bring you back, and we'll take a look at this thing. Well, guys, this old cart has come a long way from when I first brought it home. That used late model TXT body that we swapped onto it definitely helped it out, but the black accents is what really set it off. Painting the roof black, doing that nice new black seat cover, and those sweet black wheels really got that thing looking good. As well as having a cart that looks good, we've also got a well-performing cart with that sweet new lithium battery, courtesy of Temgo. I know I preached it in the last club car video I did, but if any of you guys are on the fence about swapping to lithium, I have yet to see a downside to it. Now, like always, any of the tools and parts that I use during this video will be listed in the description below, including the link to Temgo's battery. Using those links greatly helps the channel and keeps me bringing you guys projects like this one. Now, normally this is when I'd film an outro sitting on the project we just finished. However, it's sold already. Shortly after filming that B-roll footage of it sitting outside, I went ahead and listed on Marketplace, and it sold that quick. So now that it's sold, we can sit down and figure out how much profit I actually made off of it. Now, if you guys remember right, I paid $500 for the cart. The miscellaneous used parts, the body, the bagwell, stuff like that, I had about $200 wrapped up in that. The wheels I paid 80 bucks for. New parts like the lug nuts, the seat cover, anything that was new that I couldn't get used, like the battery charger receptacle deal. That total there was about $105. The battery being the biggest purchase was $700, and just miscellaneous shop supplies, zip ties, spray paint, stuff like that, I've got in there at $25. So that brings our total up to $1,510. I sold that E-Z-Go for $2,500, so we made almost $1,000 in profit on that. Now that's obviously not counting anything for labor. Since I'm doing this on my own, it doesn't make any sense to count that. But if you did take it to a shop, you could see how your profits were going to diminish pretty quick. But yeah, you guys have to let me know what you think of the golf cart content. I'm really having fun working on this stuff, and obviously if I can make a profit in the process, why not? So as you can see sitting over here, I've got yet another club car I brought home that we're going to be doing a fun little project with it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It greatly helps. Leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. Leave me some feedback. And I guess that's going to do it for now. So I'm going to take that profit and go get me a nice steak dinner. I'll see you guys in the next one.